Okay, so this is Debbie Davis. So we have a lot of things I want to touch on today. We have a lot of things going on in Minneapolis here, and a lot of other things that I want to touch on today. Some things I haven't touched on before, so I want to explain some of these things that has to do with my story. And so I am. So we just had something happen this week in Minneapolis where there was a guy named Amir Locke. So this is the third black guy that has been killed by the police in the last 5 years for very minor things, something very minor, and it doesn't even it's very obscure. It's very obscure. So there was a SWAT team that apparently went into his house and they said they had a no knock policy. The mayor apparently passed some kind of policy now here, which is very frightening, called a no knock policy. So that means that they can just go into anybody's place, and it's very obscure as to what was even the charge against this guy. Okay, so this is very concerning. This just happened this week. He was a young and up and coming hip hop star. I actually had never heard of him before, so I don't know the situation. I'm still learning myself. But basically, he was killed by a SWAT team. Okay, this is totally insane. So, and the other thing, of course, where there was a George Floyd thing where they just openly murdered him on the streets in Minneapolis. Well, the police are starting to be held accountable. They were charged for his murder now. And then there was another guy named Dante Wright who was killed in Brooklyn Park, and he was apparently totally innocent, totally minor issue, and the cop apparently pulled her gun out instead of the taser. So they are being held accountable now but in the past they weren't, and that's what was so terrifying, is because they had these immunities. So but this one, it was like a whole SWAT team, and we're all trying to figure out what this was about, because it was like, what do you have a whole SWAT team going after some guy, and it's like really obscure what the charge even was. So I mean, this is very terrifying. But and I wanted to explain. So this happened to somebody else that I know. For those of you who don't know my story, I own a company called Miracle. We make these Miracle water units, and I was in a relationship with a guy named Ron Talmadge, who was the CEO, or he was the inventor of the Miracle water in Arizona. And that's why I ended up moving out to Arizona years ago. And he was actually killed this way. And the whole thing was a setup. Because they felt that Ron knew too much. Okay, so it makes me wonder what this guy knew, or what this was about. So Ron Talmadge, most people know that I was a military whistleblower, but they don't know this other part of my story that I wanted to explain today. That I was this Ron Talmadge. I was in a relationship with him when this happened to him, and what happened was that he was contracted to go out and work on some kind of project in Colorado. And it was just, the whole thing was kind of obscure. He was offered money to do some kind of scientific project. So Ron had a extremely mechanically engineered, like just a natural mechanically engineering type mind. And he was in the Air Force, and he worked on things that fall out of the sky. Space systems was his MOS. And then he got interested in this substance called by hearing David Hudson talk about something called ORME, monoatomic elements. Ron got very intrigued with this kind of thing. So the monatomic elements, or ORME they're called, and you can hear David Hudson has talked about these, and Jim Mars has talked on this subject. Well, Ron had, after he was out of the Air Force, he started a company, and based on this trapping these ORME substances, and created this water machine that has an Ormus trap on the inside. So that's what he invented, and you can create it. It's an Ormus trap that is trapping these monoatomic elements that have healing properties. But the other properties they have is that they're an essential part of raising people's consciousness. It's like in the gray matter of your brain. And they're also an essential part of the elements of life. They believe that they are the substance known as manna, talked about in the Bible. Okay, that the Israelites were eating when they, in the book of Exodus, they believe that this was ORME, or monoatomic elements. Okay, so this is something that the cabal, this goes back to the cabal of what we're up against in this whole country right now, in the whole world, is the cabal doesn't want you to know about these type of things. And Ron had created he created an Ormus trap. They're using magnetics, and then it traps the monoatomic elements, but then he created a water filter afterwards to trap any other impurities. So he was doing really well with his company, and then he started having problems, and then he got contracted out to do some other project in Colorado, and offered a bunch of money, and then the whole thing turned out to be entrapment, and he ended up losing his life. So what happened with Ron is that somebody on the project, scientific project, ended up dead and or missing or something, and then he had nothing to do with it. But then the police apparently showed up to his door, and apparently were asking him questions about it, and they said that he pulled a gun on them. I don't think anybody would be stupid enough to pull a gun. But this is apparently what happened with this Amur situation too, is that they apparently went to his house broke into his house at 7 a.m, and he apparently slept with a gun, and they said that he pointed a gun. They play these games when they want to take you out. This is what they do. And apparently the mayor passed some kind of no-knock law. I mean, Minneapolis never used to be this corrupt. It got very corrupted under Obama, Biden, and bad mayors put in, and things like that. So we have some very serious things going on here. So, but that's my story. And then I ended up with the company, and I've been running, and that was way back in 2007, and I've owned this company since then. And but they don't want you to know about these type of things, and I believe that's why they felt that Ron knew too much. It would also had to do with some things that he saw in the Air Force, and that he was witness to. So, you have to understand, they'll do this kind of thing if they think that you know too much. They'll use these type of tactics to take you out. So I believe that there was something more going on here with this Amir Locke case that just happened this week. So, but we also have a lot of things. So, and then we also have things going on in Minneapolis where, I was just telling in my last video that I'm not getting my mail, and I was touching on that, and I'm not getting I've had my mail tampered with, and I've had my mail not forward. So I'm having issues with my mail, and so I've called the postal inspectors here. I've called them, and they never returned my phone call. So it seems that the postal inspectors have been infiltrated. These are very serious issues. They could be doing anything, and I believe that the postal inspectors have been infiltrated, and I believe that they're involved. You have to understand, that there's everything is being infiltrated with deep state CIA, deep state. So there's the regular CIA, and then there's deep state CIA. So like Michael Jaco was somebody called was regular CIA, where he's actually, you know, he was a CIA agent, you know, where they have legitimate things they're working on. But you have to understand there's another side to the CIA called the deep state CIA, and they are spies basically, and they have these, they say they're in marketing, or they're or their collections or different things like that, but they're really actually CIA. They really don't work for these companies that they say they do. They actually are secret CIA operatives. And so anything, a lot of agencies are being infiltrated with these CIA operatives that are actually not working for the company. They're actually working for the CIA, deep state CIA. So there's like the regular government and the shadow government, and the regular agencies and the deep state agencies, deep state part. So it's basically, this is what's been going on for years, how our country got so corrupted, and it all has to do with the cabal, you know, the cabal people. So and then I've had issues with the police for years, which I've talked about in my videos before. So then when I was in Arizona with Ron, this is where we had the company, I joined the Arizona National Guard, and I believe that they were watching me while I was there, and then for a long time, and then I became an accidental witness to a crime, which made it even more of a target than I think I already was, because I think I was already a target because of what happened to him, and they were wondering if I knew too much as well. And so this has gone on for a long time for me, where I'm a targeted individual. So if you saw in my last video, and so I had this issue with, I have this company, but I have done part-time work and temp work, like especially over COVID, because I was having issues getting supplies. And so I was doing a few things over the last couple of years here and there, because I was having issues getting supplies and some things were shut down. So I was going to work temporarily at Fleet Farm in the warehouse, because I was supply in the military, and I didn't, and then they were playing all these games with me. And then, why does the police need to come be a part of me just picking up a paycheck? I mean, that was totally bizarre. I'm getting these comments online about, why this is totally surreal as to why they needed to be a part of me just picking up a paycheck. And they, I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was just picking up a paycheck. And because I was having a hard time getting a hold of the human resources, because she worked out of her home. So, this is just crazy, the type of things, there's a lot of issues, but normally in the past, the police used to have immunities, but they are getting prosecuted now, and I feel that these police need to be prosecuted, whoever was involved in this thing with this Amir, because it sounds real fishy to me. So, okay, so then I'm going to tell another part of my story that I haven't told before, that also involves the police. Okay, so most people who have been watching my video know that I'm a whistleblower from Arizona at the Arizona National Guard base, and that I was an accidental witness of some kind of money laundering thing, where there was colonels making illegal withdrawals, and then when they finally did investigate at the Auditor General's office, they found $2.7 million missing. But there was other things going on. There was murders of soldiers, and we would try calling the police in Phoenix. I heard about 3 murders on that base. Okay, and one of them happened when I was working there, Karl Markovich, in 2010. And so we had tried calling the police about various different things. We tried reporting things internally, nothing ever went anywhere. So then we did try to get the police involved. I tried to get the police involved over 12 times in Phoenix, and nobody ever came to assist in any way. And we were actually like afraid for our lives to actually even work on that base. So, I've had issues with the police there. And then, it's just, it's not that I don't disrespect the police, I realize that they're putting their lives in danger a lot of times. It's just that I personally haven't had much help from them. In fact, it's the opposite. They've been terrorizing me for no reason. A part of my harassment and illegal surveillance. Okay, so then that's the other part that I'm going to tell today is that so I was when they were trying to impeach Trump a couple of years ago, I drove out to Washington D.C. Because I wanted to give my sworn statement because I was such a high-level military whistleblower. I was afraid that it wouldn't make it there in the mail, so I literally actually drove out to Washington D.C. and I got my sworn statement against his impeachment to the DOJ by the grace of God. Okay, so I'll tell more about that here. But when I was there, when I was I was in the Fredericksburg, Maryland, and then I, was driving around. But I was being illegally surveilled by the police the whole time I was there. Here's one watching me right outside my hotel in Fredericksburg. Okay, so how did they know I was there unless they're illegally surveilling me? Okay, so this is the other part. Okay, then there's a sheriff watching me. The sheriff of Fredericksburg, Maryland, illegally surveilling me. Okay, so that's the thing you really have to question is how did they know I was there? How did they know that I was there unless they're illegally surveilling me? Okay, and that is why if you'd heard about how Trump was there was always these fights with big tech, that Trump was going after big tech. Well, it's because big tech has been involved in creating software programs that allows the police to illegally surveil and illegally spy on people through their phones. They can ping off the satellites, and that's what they were doing. They were illegally surveilling me the whole time I was in DC. So what happened is I got my sworn statement to the DOJ because I had evidence that I had contacted everybody on the Armed Forces Committee with John McCain, telling them that about the crimes that were going on at the Arizona Guard. This was a whole slew of Democrats. They were the same people that were trying to impeach Trump. Okay, and so I thought, if anybody has evidence against these people of what they're trying to do, that would be me, because I have evidence that I tried contacting all of them, telling them about very serious crimes going on in a military base. Okay, so I somehow, by the grace of God, got my sworn statement to the DOJ, and it was a big key factor against Trump's impeachment. And the veterans are who stood up against this impeachment. They I have evidence that they were very aware of what John McCain was involved with at that base, so that put them very, very much in the same category of treason that John McCain ended up being in, where John McCain, he didn't he was put to death. I mean, they've said it a couple times. It's come out a few times, but he was put to death. He didn't die of a brain of cancer. Okay, this is what the mainstream news is lying to you about. Like they're lying to you about most everything. So here I am in front of the Capitol. Praying, just praying, like, please God, don't let Trump be impeached. And I dropped off my my sworn statement. And and I was and there's scriptures talking about, and I believe these are the times that we're in, where there's judgment right now going on. And it says in Romans 2:16, it says, and on this day, according to the gospel, God judges the secrets of men by Jesus Christ. And it talks about it in Ecclesiastes. For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether be good or whether be evil. So I believe that we are in the times where this country's being judged. Ecclesiastes 12:14, God will bring every deed into judgment along with every hidden thing. And he's bringing them to judgment right now. He's bringing them to judgment. He used me as a vessel, I believe, in these times. Romans 14:10, then why do you judge your brother? Why do you belittle your brother? For we will all stand before God's judgment seat. Acts 17:31, for he has set a day where he will judge the world with justice by the man he has appointed. He has given proof of this to everyone by raising him from the dead. Okay, 1 Corinthians 4:5. Therefore, judge nothing before the appointed time. Wait until the Lord comes. He will bring to light what is hidden. Okay, so, everything's coming to light. It's like we're in these times where everything's coming to light. And I believe God used me as a powerful vessel. I never told that part of the story, my story, but it was, it was my sworn statement that was a big part, I believe, in the veterans, that was a big part of helping against this impeachment and this illegal impeachment, which, it was illegal to begin with, but I did my part. And the veterans have done their part, and more people need to stand up in this battle here, because it's like, we're fighting for our lives here as veterans. I've been terrorized for years, and I was terrorized really bad after this. That it got worse way worse. So then the other thing that you probably don't know about, that hasn't come out in the news, was another thing that the veterans did for our country, to save our country. And it was something that happened in Malmstrum Air Force Base. And this was an incident that happened under Biden, where there was some kind of a nuclear missile that went off, or was being, they were trying to steal it or something. I talked about this with Stu Webb. They either were trying to set it off, or they were trying to steal it. This happened at Malmstrum Air Force Base in Montana under Obama. This is something you have not heard about on the news. So I don't remember the exact year, but under Biden, there was an incident, and a general stopped it from going off, and then there was about 90 airmen that were also involved in stopping this from going off or being stolen or whatever they were trying to do. And these airmen were under investigation, and so Obama didn't he fired the general for stopping it, and then the 90 airmen were under investigation for doing the right thing, not the wrong thing. So that tells you pretty much everything you need to know about Obama-Biden presidency, and how that should clarify if you had any kind of question as to how corrupt they are, Biden and Obama. This is a very serious Air Force base. This was a global command. This is a global strike command headquarters. Let's see. Helicopter operations at Malmstrum. Okay. It's a part of the Global Strike Command headquarters. Okay. And so there's a very serious weapons there. Let's see. It's the United States Air Force base and census designated place in Montana. Okay, so I don't remember the exact year this happened, but the veterans saved the day. Okay, so thank your veterans. Be thankful for the veterans saving our country, like myself and other veterans, and be thankful that we even still have a country right now. So here's President Trump. He flew out in October of 2018. He had heard about this incident. He had heard about this incident that happened at Malmstrom, and him and Melania flew out. This Great Falls, Montana news, October 2018, where he flew out there to Montana, and he went to that base, is my understanding, and he secured that global command headquarters to make sure that never happens again, that's never allowed to happen again. So you got Obama, Biden trying to destroy our country, and you got Trump trying to save it every time. Okay, every time you got them trying to destroy it and Trump trying to save it. So anybody that doesn't understand the base, they were very the night and day situation here of how bad the last president was, and how with Obama, Biden, and how great President Trump is. Talk to the veterans. Talk to the veterans. So that's another important part of my story that I wanted to share today. And I'm probably going to get a lot of retaliation against this, but share this video, please, because this is important information that people need to know. Okay, God bless.